Hello, and welcome back to Firesense Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're continuing on with Suzerain 2.0. So last time out, we went to Narbel to have a talk with Pascal and Ciara about the state of our healthcare and education systems, as well as had a meeting with Gus and former President Alfonso about investing in Gasom. So, let's see here. So we got some newspapers, a couple updates, and reports. Let's check all this out first. Alright, let's see here. The Codex. So an update on Gasom, probably just saying that we invested, I guess? Yeah. Company raised new investments through the government to expand the production capacity. Cool. Alright, and in the overview, policies, large state investment in Gasom. Sweet. Let's close that and check out the newspapers. Looks like we got 4 here. So, first up from the Whole Sword Post, a resounding vote for Gasom's future. Swordland government's large-scale investment in Gasom is a clarion call of confidence in our energy sector. This action underscores our government's commitment to strengthening domestic industries and preserving energy sovereignty. Amid the cacophony of detractors, it is clear that this financial boost could be the lifeline Gasom needs to secure a stable future. Cool. From Swordland Today, a strategic leap. In an act of resolute governance, our authorities support significant resources into Gasom. This move radiates assurance within our national energy sector and stands as testament to Swordland's dedication to industry fortification. Through boosting Gasom's operational prowess and fiscal stability, this robust investment ushers in a new dawn of prosperity for the citizens of Swordland. Cool. Let's see, from the Lockhaven Times, Gasom sees Swordland government's robust investment. The Swordland government has made a substantial investment in the energy giant Gasom. The move signals a clear vote of confidence in the domestic energy sector and has been greeted with approval by various market observers. Experts project that the increased capital will augment Gasom's operational capacity and overall productivity, offering a much-needed boon to the struggling economy. The government's decisive action has been seen as a bold stroke aimed at the revitalization of this crucial industry. And last up from the Radical, a pricey misstep. The Swordland government's large-scale investment in Gasom has ignited a wave of criticism. Detractors argue that throwing money at systemic issues plaguing the sector is far from a viable solution. This strategy, rather than addressing the root of the problems, raises questions about the government's economic vision and the future of our energy industry. Cool. Alright, let's head to Rebel here for a report. Looks like it's the only one. It definitely is. So, British Freedom Front under new leadership. Security forces have gathered intel regarding a hidden meeting among local leaders of the separatist group British Freedom Front that occurred a few days ago. It is suspected that they have elected new leader in the meeting, Alan Arg, whose brother is the infamous former leader, Dulan Arg. This development could have serious implications for national security, as the British Freedom Front has been known to use violent means to achieve their goals. The situation calls for increased surveillance and intelligence gathering to prevent any potential threats posed by the organization and its new leadership. Cool. Alright, well, let's head back to Narbel and figure out how we're going to get out of here. Alright, leave Gasom facility in Narbel. A volatile situation has emerged outside the Gasom facility with a sizable crowd of protesters massing. Their grievances, fueled by underlying tensions, present a complex scenario for us to navigate. The decisions on our course of action could dramatically influence the outcome of the situation. Alright, well, we're gonna go talk to them. Cool. So, let's go address the protesters. As we stepped out of the towering front gate of the Gasom facility, I immediately became aware of how tense the situation was. Gus Monge stood to my right, his silhouette barely distinguishable from the monolithic edifice behind us. Serge stood to my left, his eyes scanning the crowd with the precision of a hawk. Gasom security had drawn their weapons in anticipation, forming a bristling wall around the perimeter. My presidential guard, in stark contrast, stood tall and unflinching at the entrance, shielding us from the sea of angry workers surrounding us. The shouts of the crowd were deafening and hostility palpable. Stoller and Horton stood at the forefront with fire in their eyes. With a deep breath, I prepared to address them. Gus extended a megaphone towards me. Alright, let's see. I think I'm going to go with this one. Good people of Narbel, we are here not to placate you with false promises, but to honestly assess the reality and work towards practical solutions. Today's visit, let's be clear, does not mean all your problems will disappear overnight. It's an initial step to gauge the scope of the issues. Yep, Empty words, Rain. You've shown us nothing concrete today. We're fed up with your hollow rhetoric. I mean, how could we have shown you anything? We haven't really done much yet. Whatever. All talk and no action is, Mr. President. How long must the workers wait for real change? Now hold on a minute. President Ray is committed to bringing about real change. His actions and decisions demonstrate this clearly, even if it doesn't fit your narrative. Is that so, Manger? All we've seen are decisions in favour of the likes of you and Evil Fonz, not the common workers. It's not about narratives, Mr. Manger. It's about ensuring a fair, dignified life for the working class, something your policies have consistently failed to do. Let's see here. This one sounds tempting, but I don't think I want to be a dick at the moment. There you go with this one. I understand your skepticism, Dennis, but I assure you my administration is devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. Your words are compelling, President Rain, but can they truly outweigh the years of corporate dominance? Your intentions sound noble, President Rain, but intentions alone don't fuel families or pay bills. We need concrete actions. It's clear from your lack of commitment to education that you don't fully comprehend the scope of the challenges faced by our workers' families. Your neglect of our nation's healthcare system will harm millions. Did I literally just talk to healthcare and education about how to, give them more money and fix things? Glad these people know what's going on. Mr. President, we demand that you support the upcoming workers' rights bill. The Labour force of Sodom will be watching your next move closely. Furthermore, we want reform, reduce the election threshold, and change the Constitution to make a more democratic, fair nation. Alright. I'm fine with this lady, because she's at least addressing the problems. This dude... I don't know. Here protests labor issues. Why is he bitching about that? Whatever. Let's see. Let's see here. I think I'm going to go with this one. On healthcare and education, I hear your concerns. While these areas may not be our immediate focus, we are yet to finalize the government budget and are giving thoughtful consideration to those areas. Despite the sharp words exchange, the crowd remained eerily calm. It seemed like they were waiting, their collective breath held in anticipation of something more. Suddenly, a reporter pushed through the crowd, brandishing a microphone towards me. The locals of Napa have suffered under the impact of Gasom for years. What concrete steps is Gasom going to take for the benefit of the local community? I am pleased to announce Gasom will play a crucial role in the recovery of Narbel. They have pledged a significant contribution to local charities. With this contribution, Gasom is stepping up to play an essential part in the recovery and development of Narbel. I can hear the crowd growing restless. They once again broke into discontented murmurs, punctuated by the occasional shout. Charitable contributions, Mr. President, is all Gasom can offer. While the effort is appreciated, these gestures do little to address structural inequalities faced by workers. We need systemic change, not charity. What we need, Mr. President, is not a one-time act of charity, but a sustained commitment to improving the living conditions and wage disparity. Gasom's charity must not be used as a smokescreen to cover their ongoing exploitation. A group of figures emerged from the crowd, adorned in unmistakable scarlet attire, the red youth had arrived. I realized this was no longer a mere protest. It was a symbol of a broader, more potent struggle. The police began reorganizing their ranks, adopting defensive postures. Would you shed some light on the possible deal between the Source Government and Gasom? What role does the Kingdom of Risi play in this arrangement? With all due respect to the Kingdom, I believe Sorlin knows what's best for storage companies. That's why our government is investing in Gasom alone. A surprising but potentially promising decision, Mr. President. Let's hope your confidence isn't misplaced. Encouraging, President Maine. As long as your government strive to recoup your investment, doesn't take precedent of Gasom's struggling labor force. Nearby, a Gasom security officer and a presidential guard member were conversing in hushed tones. I saw them glance over the crowd, now calmer but still restless. President Rain, while the crowd appears somewhat subdued, I would advise we exercise caution. It may be best to conclude your address and proceed to the vehicle. Are you sure? Won't running away from this will only make the protesters angrier? I'll remain here, Mr. President. The crowd seems calmer now, and I believe I can answer the queries, maintain the peace. You should go ahead. Mr. President, thank you for your willingness to address us. Let's continue these important conversations moving forward. You've shown courage today. We'll see if your actions match your words. Until next time. We have shown courage together. Now we will hold you accountable to your promises. The troubles of the laborers are not over, and neither is the work of our union. I reached out my hand, and Katerina shook it with a smile. Dennis followed suit. Almost immediately, the remaining tension in the crowd dissipated. A few workers nearby broke into scattered applause. The initially hesitant clapping grew louder, and jubilant cheers whistles filled the air. I saw the red youth members standing at the edge of the crowd with their arms folded, a hint of approval in their eyes. As I readied myself to leave, I turned back to Katerina and Dennis one last time. Let's see. I'm gonna go with this one. I understand your frustrations and the urge to voice your concerns. However, let's keep our discourse respectful and constructive. Go with that one. Together we can ensure a prosperous future for Swordland. The reporter jumped in. Can you clarify the current status of your personal relationship with the Advocate? No more questions, please. Mr. President, if you could please proceed to the vehicle. Serge opened the door of the car, and I lowered myself into the seat. The door closed behind me with a thud, sealing off the external noise. The crowd began to disperse, the individuals breaking away to let the convoy through. The guards took their position nonetheless, forming a human barrier around the vehicle. The engine purred to life and began to move. I'm glad we are safely on our way, Mr. President. Agreed, Serge. Job well done by you and the team. We appreciate your acknowledgement, Mr. President. It's our duty and honor. The echoing voices of the protesters gradually subsided as we retreated from the scene and left Narbel behind. Fantastic. I'm still wondering if I could have done more to get Gasom to give us some more, assurances, but not really sure. I don't know. I think I did the best I could there. Alright, we got 5 of the newspapers. Let's check them out. So, from the Wholesale Post, Gasom's Sustainability Pledge. Gasom's recent commitment to implementing sustainable practices is a move that acknowledges, caters to the liberal crowd in Swordland. Whatever. Their intention to lessen their impact on the environment is a step in the right direction, only to improve their reputation. The company's pledge to donate to local charities does reinforce their commitment to the community, but strengthening the bond between the corporation and Source people will need more than this. Alright, from Swordland Today, a leader who listens. President's address at Gasom. In a show of attentive leadership, President Anton Rain's address at the gates of Gasom was marked by clear understanding and acknowledgement of the workers' concerns. The President's speech, resonating with empathy and decisiveness, reinforced his commitment to improving the working conditions and lives of the people of Narbel. This display of a leader who listens serves to strengthen the bond between the Presidential Office and the people of Swordland. We got 2 of them here from the Lockhaven Times. A beacon of hope. President Anton Rain's recent address at the Gasom gates in Narbel has been met with an overwhelmingly positive response from the crowd. The President's articulate delivery and compelling arguments served to rekindle faith in the Soros government, shedding a ray of hope on the current challenges plaguing our nation. His inspiring speech seemed to resonate with the working class, leaving an atmosphere of optimism and unity in its wake. And Gasom steps towards new corporate commitment. Following President Anton Rain's influence, Gasom has pledged to implement sustainable practices and contribute to local charities, suggesting a move towards more responsible corporate behavior. Will the Labor Union of Swordland and the Communist Party of Swordland continue their advocacy for further enhancements, Gasom's commitment is indeed a step in the right direction. It not only paints a more positive image of the company, but also provides hope for a greener and more community-focused corporate Swordland. Nice. And from the Radical, Gasom's empty gesture. Sustainability pledge falls short. Gasom's commitment to sustainable practices and local charity donations is simply not enough. While Katerina Horton of the Labor Union of Swordland and Dennis Stoller of the Communist Party of Swordland have been advocating for comprehensive measures, Gasom's pledge falls far short. It's a clear attempt to appease rather than take substantial action to mitigate the environmental impact and improve workers' lives. Cool. Alright, let's head to Whole Sword for The Stability Order of 1954. Let's see. An investigation on the influence of the Young Swords and Red Youth organizations on the post-assassination unrest has concluded. Both organizations haven't officially organized or called for legal actions, but several low to mid-level leaders from both have linked insightful actions that led to deaths, injuries, and stability. This allows us to ban the organizations. I'm not entirely sure if we necessarily need to ban anybody right now. Yeah, I'm just gonna go don't ban. I don't know. I don't necessarily see a real reason to ban anybody right now. So let's go with that. Let's see what happens. Cool. Alright, so we've got a couple of things here. So let's start with the this Green Act. The Greeny Regeneration and Ecological Economic Nurturing. That is a terrible name for a bill. The Green has been proposed by the Assembly, aiming to encourage a more sustainable approach to industry in Greeny. Section 1 of this act would impose stricter regulations on industrial pollution and waste disposal, particularly in the Greeny region. Businesses not complying with these new standards may face hefty fines, the revenue from which would be invested back into environmental recovery projects. Section 2 proposes to offer tax breaks to businesses that can demonstrate a significant reduction in their environmental impact over a period of time. A small investment fund is created for eco-friendly business practices. Okay, well, on the one hand, I kind of want to do this because it sounds like a good idea. But we're kind of broke at the moment. And I think I'm just going to trust Gus on his thing for the... So I'm just going to trust Gus on his proposal for improving the area. So we're just going to veto this. Cool. Alright. Yep, hold up. 2 newspapers. Let's go hit those first. Alright, from Whole Sword Post. Green Act vetoed. A pragmatic move. President Anton Rain's veto of the Green Act has elicited positive responses. The President's decision reflects a pragmatic approach, recognizing that while environmental conservation is important, it should not come at the cost of economic stability. This sends a clear message about the need for a balanced approach to a nation's development, one that weighs economic realities against environmental imperatives. And the radical is going to be just the complete opposite. Yep, veto on Green Bill, a misstep for Swordland. President Rain's decision to veto the Green Act has been met with widespread disappointment. In the face of mounting environmental challenges, the act represented a much-needed transition towards sustainable industry practices. It sought to address industrial pollution through stricter regulations and incentive systems to encourage eco-friendly practices. The veto is not only a blow to Greeny, but to the nation as a whole, hindering our progress towards a sustainable future. This move raises concerns about the government's commitment to environmental responsibility. Cool, yeah. Alright. Let's head back to Whole Sword for the Constitution changes. I was walking to my office, and today was the day to edit and make the final changes for the proposal to change the Constitution of Swordland. The Reform Committee finally bore tangible results, and the draft of the changes were about to be presented to me. I walked in the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decisions I was going to take. At the entrance to my office, my secretary Olivia greeted me. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Olivia. How are you today, sir? I'm about to make some stressful decisions, so not feeling that great. Sorry to hear. She paused before taking my coat. It looked like she had something on her mind. Mr. Rain, can you give me hints about your reform plans? If you ask me, taking away the judge's immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of people in these halls. I'll take that into consideration. I hope you keep me informed. I'll take your coat now. You're the secretary. Why would I keep you informed? Olivia left hanging my coat. I entered my office and sat down. Well, not long after, Peter, Lucien, and Nia arrived. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. Time to finally get this proposal going. Peter placed the draft in front of me. After modifications, we will be starting the process. Cool, let's start. After placing the committee's report my own notes in front of me, I buried myself in the papers. Okay. So, Section 1, Presidential Vetoes. According to Articles 77 and 82, the President may veto a bill by returning it to the Assembly with a written statement. The articles do not contain any information on how to override a veto. As a consequence, the President has an absolute veto power that cannot even be overridden with a supermajority in the Grand Assembly of Swordsmen. Alright, I know we definitely need to limit vetoes. So, let's see. Section 2, Constitutional Amendment Process. According to Article 5 of the Constitution, an amendment that has the support of at least 150 signatures may be proposed to the Grand National Assembly. A two-thirds majority vote in the Grand National Assembly and a simple majority vote in the Supreme Court is required for the amendment. As a consequence, the Supreme Court, which is not part of the elected legislative branch, has voting rights that give them enormous power in the amendment process. And our only option is to remove the Supreme Court's voting rights, which I wanted anyway. So, nice. Alright, Section 3, Impeachment of the President. According to Article 17, the President of Swordsmen is not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of presidential duties, except in the case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. In such cases, the President may be impeached by the Supreme Court in joint session with an absolute majority of its members. Therefore, the impeachment process only includes the Supreme Court and gives them great power over the executive. I think it would make more sense to have the Assembly involved as well. So we'll go with that one. Alright, Section 4, Appointment of Ministers. According to the Constitution, the President appoints ministers to the Council of Ministers from elected members of the Assembly. We may introduce a confidence vote by adding the line, the President may nominate ministers which will require a confidence vote from the Grand National Assembly for the appointment. Or include the Assembly more in the process with, the Grand National Assembly may nominate a list of ministers which the President may appoint. So we want a confidence vote, I think. The President can still pick his own people. Alright, Section 5, Electoral Threshold. According to Article 50, a political party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats in the Grand National Assembly. The votes of the parties who pass the threshold are redistributed proportionally, meaning ESP, which currently holds the lead, would be the main beneficiary. Decreasing the threshold may allow the Workers' Party Bludia and the Communist Party of Swordsmen to be elected in the next elections. This is a tougher one. I think I'm going to go with Do Not Change. I'm pretty sure if you decrease it, Gloria won't side with you. You kind of need her vote. At least if I'm remembering this correctly. If not, I'm sure she'll yell at me later and we can change that if need be. Alright, Section 6, Presidential Decrees. According to Article 18 and 51, the President is able to issue decrees on political, social, and economic issues that carry the force of law. They could not contradict the Constitution and are subject to judicial review. And therefore, the President may issue decrees on many subjects without going through the Grand National Assembly. However, the Assembly may pass legislation on the same subjects to override presidential decrees. We may include the Assembly in the process by requiring an enabling act from the Assembly to be able to enact decrees, or remove them completely, making the Assembly the sole lawmaking authority. I think the Enabling Act would probably be better. Yeah, I think we'll go with the Enabling Acts. We don't want to get rid of presidential decrees. Alright, Section 7, Term Limits. According to the Constitution, the President shall be elected to serve for 4 years. However, there is no mention of a term limit, allowing one individual to run, be elected, and serve as President without limits. And I think we definitely want term limits. So, Section 8, Immunity of Justices. The Constitution gives the justices of the Supreme Court absolute immunity before the law and describes no procedure of impeachment, making them untouchable by the other branches of government. We may describe an impeachment procedure by giving the Grand National Assembly the right to propose impeachment of a justice on the legal grounds of unconstitutional behavior. Alright. We definitely want to be able to impeach justices. And Section 9, Member of Honor Rights of Tarkeen Soul. Article 99 of the Constitution defines the Member of Honor title and the rights that members may exercise. Member of Honor has absolute immunity and is considered to be a permanent member of the Grand National Assembly. They are given control of their own personal security team provided by the state's presidential guards. Members also eligible to live in a special private residence provided by the state for free. The only person who holds the title is Tarkeen Sol. Let's see. I mean, I could just remove the immunity. That would probably make a bunch of people happy, so we could at least, like, hold Sol accountable for what he did. But I think if we just get rid of the thing entirely, that's probably going to be the better option. Yeah, I mean, this just sounds like a massive drain on government resources if this happens for every single president. But then again, the only president who's even given the right at the moment is just Tarkeen Sol. But whatever, I don't care. We're just going to get rid of the Member of Honor title, just in general. Yes. After I made the final changes for the proposal, I showed it to my team. They read the changes and discussed it amongst themselves. Lucien spoke afterwards.
Looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed. Any comments before we proceed?
I will say that I do not agree with the new law that gives the Assembly the power to impeach the judges of the Supreme Court. I am also against the Chief Justice and his obstructionist behavior, but even if we get rid of all of them, the new judges will be less independent with this law. They'll be scared to go against the administration when it's needed. They need the protection to do their job, otherwise the new ones will be pawns, just like Sol's old guards. But it's more important that we get rid of the old guards, Miss Morgan. After the obstacles are gone, we can strive to make it better. However, he turned to me. You have to be careful, Ansel. I'm sure you'll be fine, but with all that's happening out there, we will need to be prepared against these threats one way or another. I appreciate the feedback, Peter.
Well, I think we can proceed now.
I'll personally work on the wording of this proposal with my hand-picked legal experts.
With Miss Morgan's reputation as most experienced in charity, this proposal will be bulletproof. Chief Justice also will have a hard time convincing the others to oppose it.
In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. You'll need to get them to back us if we want it to pass the Assembly.
Sir, I advise you to first talk to the leaders of both conservative and reformist wings of the party.
As far as I'm aware, Mr. Cleven supposed reforms early. Mrs. Story would be the real problem. She became the real heavyweight after we left her the executive. Any advice in regards to dealing with them?
As Mr. Vection said, Mr. Cleven will probably be easier to persuade. We need to unite the party under this, so his support is vital. Mrs. Gloria will be tougher to break. The problem is that she's capable of turning the moderates and the conservatives against us. As much as I don't want to say this, if she makes demands to change the proposal, you may need to give in.
Understood.
I wish you good luck with the party, sir. I think we can end the meeting here.
We all shook hands and they left the room. Nice. Okay, so we got 2 exclamation points. I don't even know where this feather is, but okay. It's just hanging off on the side over here. As well as 3 newspapers. But I think that feels like as good a place as any to go and call it for today. So, as always, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time.